Hey, it's me again. It's M, Super Coach, CEO of the Soul Focus Group. So excited about this episode. So excited about what we're going to talk about today. Today is a beautiful day. I don't know where you are, what part of the world you're in, but I know today is a beautiful day in terms of the opportunities that are set before us are so wonderful. We know more than we ever have known before about ourselves, about life, and that has given us more possibilities than ever before. Perspective is everything. Perspective is the thing that is really the thing that determines what you get out of a thing. You know, I'm always talking to people about the law of perspective. I know not many people have heard of the law of perspective, but the law of perspective is pretty simple. What you see is what you get. Now, that just came up for me. I didn't plan on talking to you about the law of perspective. I'm going to get into my subject in a minute because I want to talk about solutions, and I want to talk about you being tired of, seeing yourself as the problem or not being able to solve your problems, and what you can do to begin to live as the solution. That's what I really want to talk to you about. But what better way as a way to segue into this conversation than to talk about the law of perspective? Because the law of perspective is a universal law, meaning in all cases, it rules and reigns supreme. You've heard of the law of attraction, right? And how powerful the law of attraction is. Well, the law of attraction also works with the law of perspective. What you see is what you get. Now, why is that important? Because more than anything else, what you see in yourself is all that you are eligible to get from yourself. That doesn't mean that's all there is. That doesn't mean that there's not a higher level in you to go to. It means that until you see it, you're not going to be able to bring it out. We bring out of ourselves and other people and situations and circumstances the exact amount or exactly based upon an equal measure of what we see. If we see ourselves as not being good enough, as being unworthy, etc., we bring that out. We anticipate that. We build an anticipation around bringing out that within ourselves. We have expectations of that. So what you see is what you get. You have to change the way you see yourself. Now, at the Soul Focus Group, what we do is we calibrate the way we see ourselves based upon how our soul sees us. That's why we are soul focused. We call the company Soul Focus because we are so focused on our soul because we're working to see what our soul sees. And our soul sees each and every one of us as a perfect work of art. Perfect work of art. I mean, it's so perfect that it's unique, it's one of a kind. You can't find another duplicate to us nowhere on the planet. Out of billions of people on the planet, you cannot duplicate any one of us. We are a perfect work of art. But that's not how you see yourself. That's not how the average person sees themselves, which is problematic because if you want to get the magic out of you, you got to see magic in you. If you want to get the power out of you, the genius out of you, the ingenuity, the innovativeness, the love, the compassion, the greatness out of you, then guess what? You have to see it first. How do we see the magic in ourselves? Because I know I didn't start off just seeing the magic in myself. There was so much what we call groundwater programming, subconscious programming that has been downloaded into my subconscious mind as a little boy, and from so much trauma in my life that it was hard for me. It was difficult for me to see myself correctly. I had a skewed view of myself. I saw myself from a deficit place. When I saw myself, when I thought about myself, when I looked at myself, I saw somebody who wasn't enough. I always saw a reason why something was missing in me, why something wasn't quite right. No matter what I achieved, no matter what I accomplished, I would always come up short up here. And even on those times when I would do a presentation or a keynote, and I would bring the audience to standing ovation, and there's no greater compliment than you receiving a standing ovation from an audience that you've been speaking before. And even after getting a standing ovation, when I was alone by myself, it was all over. The way I saw myself prevented me from getting present to just how wonderful the moment was to receive a standing ovation. I would always find something wrong with what I did, how I could have did it better, how I didn't do that right. And they just, they didn't really stand because they felt moved by what you said. They were standing because somebody made them stand. It was always something in my mind, in my subconscious programming, that will prevent me from being able to truly get with the moment, to truly be present to the moment. It was because of what I saw in myself. And then I changed. I started evolving how I see myself and think about myself. And it started first with me believing something different about myself. I had to start believing, number one, that I wasn't unworthy, that I was worthy. Now, where did I get that from? I got to be honest with y'all. When I was a little boy, I came into this world, I saw myself as beautiful. I remember as a little boy, I used to stand in the mirror all the time, and I just marveled over how I decided to come and present myself to the world. I literally did as a child. I would stand in the mirror and smile because I loved how I look. And then programming started. And the programming started was, you're unworthy. You are a sinner. And some of you heard me talk about my experience in one of my experiences in church with my great grandmother, who spoke in tongues, and I pretended to speak in tongues because I didn't want to be separated from her. And the preacher said, "You got it, grandson, you got it. If grandmama left today to go be with God, you'd be with her because you spoke in tongues." And I know I faked it. And I wondered to myself in that moment, feeling that pressure that was put on me, was I the only one who faked it? Was I the only one who was afraid to be away from a loved one, who faked speaking in tongues so they can, in their mind, still be with their loved ones? Listen, I was only 8 years old when it happened, but by the age of 5, I started receiving the messages that I was unworthy, that I wasn't good enough, that because I was poor, this, and the other, because we lived in a poor community, a bad community, some people would say a bad community, because we were Black, we weren't good enough. All that messaging just kept coming. By the time I reached 7 years old, it had set in as a subconscious programming. So I had to go into my brain, go into my subconscious wiring, and reprogram myself. Listen, it is not going to happen by you just saying it. It's going to happen by you doing some work and you working to reprogram the groundwater. But first, you got to get present to what the groundwater is in your subconscious mind. In other words, what messages have you been receiving since you were a child that seeped into your brain that is preventing you from reaching the full potential of yourself? Not only from reaching it, from seeing the next level in yourself. There is a next level in you. There was a next level to me, and there's a next level to you. And there's still another level of me that I'm reaching for. I'm the project that I'm working on because I want to maximize the full potential of this technology called me. You are a technology. You need to be looking for, how do I maximize the full potential of the technology that is me? It's about you. It's all about you. And I'm not talking about in a selfish way. I'm talking about really in a generous way, because it's all about you, because the world made room for you because you have something to contribute as yourself, as your 100% self, not as your holding back self, not as you're finding something wrong with yourself, not as your, pity party self, not as your, all I can do, all I see is what's wrong with me self, but the perfect work of art that your soul sees in you. See yourself correctly. I'm out.